one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Mr. Ruiz.
Present.
Mr. Chavez.
Present.
Mr. Vasquez.
Present.
Mr. Can.
Present.
Myself, Monica Milano. Mr. Navarro.
Present.
Mr. Sepulveda. Ms. Morales. Mr. Morales, sorry. Absent. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes for, we do have a quorum, yes. Approve of minutes. Sorry, it says two different things. But January 15th, 2018.
I make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
I'm sorry, who approved?
Sorry.
Mr. Ruiz.
Second?
No, Mr. Khan.
Thank you.
We don't have any communications or action items, so we have a motion to open staff reports. Do I need a motion for that?
Oh, there's one action item.
What are you
There's an action
missing?
item?
The approval of the item 6.
I don't think I don't have the right one. I don't have the right agenda. I thought it was strange that the last meeting was October 9th.
You just need the top cover, the top sheet, the agenda.
I guess your binder is
No, it's me.
Oh, yeah, January 15th. How was last meeting?
Or you have an old one too?
Okay.
Last one was January 15th?
Yeah, last meeting was January
Yeah,
15th.
yeah.
That's
Mine
right.
was
I'm
from
good.
October.
I'm good.
Yeah, stickers, okay. All right. Yeah.
No, it's
I have everything except it was just this top agenda that I was missing. Okay. Action items. Approval of the Parks Open Space and Recreation Master Plan as presented.
I don't know if y'all had a chance to look at it.
I did.
Okay.
Did. I really liked it. I didn't have any comments, like any errors or anything. But I did, I'm reading it and I'm thinking, wow, this is really amazing. This is so exciting. I love these, how they've broken it down in chapter 4, especially with all the recommendations. But as I'm reading this, I'm wondering who is going to actually do it. Like, for example, action item 411 on page 101, just for an example. Design Standards Manual. Create a park system design standards manual to determine the envisioned character of preferred amenities and structures. Who's going to come up with that manual? Who's going to decide what is the standard lighting for parks? Who's going to, decide
You have a copy?
create and implement a phasing plan to improve outdated playground equipment. So there's a lot of suggestions that need a lot more work than just, have council pass this plan. So I'm just curious, who's gonna do those manuals and who's going to do the cross-checking throughout the city to make sure that these things are being implemented, the standards are being implemented. We've kind of touched on it before, standardizing the paint colors that are used, but this goes way more in depth than that when it comes to standardization. So,
Sorry, Manager, where are you? What page is it?
page 101.
Page 101.
And that was just an example, the design standards manual. There's a lot of their recommendations that, another one on page 98, toddler programming, add recreational programming for toddlers. Who's going to be the one to actually come up with that and do it? So that was my question. Like, this is really beautiful, and I was so excited to read it. But who's going to do it?
Wouldn't it be the? Can I ask one, one quick question? What is staff's recommendation? To approve it? Because we don't really get that.
So we want to redline it, see what things we need to, that you don't like, or maybe we can add or delete today. And then our plan is to send it back to the company with revised revision. And I know, I think you just got it today, if you don't understand. And send it back if we see anything recommendations. Once we get it and they get it finalized, then they're going to come and present it to all of us. There's a consultant that will come and present it to the board so that we can, they can give their scope as far as what we can do.
But I tend to agree with the chair. There's a lot of follow-up by the Parks Department on a lot of this. Was it just thrown at you, or do you have a plan for that? Or you still need to go over that part of it?
We still need to we're in the process of it. I think we're doing, and I look at the girls because they have different parts that they oversee. We do inventory of the parts, what needs improvement. Just right before I left, I sat down with you, Chris, will give me all the checklist of all the parts that what they need. When it's barbecue pits, they need benches. And so we're already kind of implementing this, of course. Before we all seen that, we came up a couple of months ago, that we're doing a checklist and making sure what's needed, we upgrade it. That's all those things. It is a big task. Believe me, I looked at it. So that's a lot of things in here. I hate to use the excuse that we're understaffed.
Well, that's my concern, is like, I think that's what nobody wants to happen is, you spend all this money on a plan and then there's not either manpower or money to implement it.
Right.
So, on the very first part where it says introduction, how to use the master plan,
Page,
the XI11 table of contents,
okay.
it says, this master plan is not a capital improvements plan, but rather a operational plan which recommends a series of comprehensive and strategic actions by which will offer its citizens access to parkland, open space, recreational facilities, and recreational programs. To me, this whole thing is a growth plan. It's a plan. It's not an operational plan. It's a capital improvement plan.
Even though it says it's not.
It says it's an operational plan, but it doesn't talk about anything having to do with, have they done any investigation into the operations of parks, and have they made any recommendations to parks on how to improve the operations? So there's nothing in here that says anything about improving the operations of parks, but supposedly that's what this is.
Right. And basically, Gracie has been doing more than Anita and Mervin used to work with them. How they?
Well, basically, going back to Ms. Molano's question, who will be in charge of? There's two different ways that we can, I guess, move on the recommendations presented here. One, of course, is in-house, like our staff to implement, to do research on, especially when talking about new programming for toddlers or seniors or whatever is being recommended. Staff can work on that and try to implement those recommendations. There's also hiring a consultant for other different recommendations they're giving us. All of that, once the plan is adopted and is presented and adopted or accepted by council, it's a tool. This is more than other thing. It's a tool for us to be able to look after grants, funding, funding for staff, grants for acquisition of land and for consultant, design, engineering. So basically, this is what this document is being prepared for us to be as a guide on how to improve the park system. Not necessarily the operations, meaning like the staff, but more like what is it that the city is lacking and what is it that the citizens are looking for, like the needs of the citizens of Laredo. And it's based on the surveys they did, and it's also based on what other cities are doing, cities of the same, I guess, size of Laredo, similar. And so that's the idea of adopting. And the main reason is because for us to be able to apply for grants, we need to have a master plan updated, a current master plan. Otherwise, we won't be able to apply for those grants. If we want to, on Texas Parks and Wildlife for $250,000 available for the development of a park on land, raw land that we currently have, we can't because the plan is not, it doesn't exist.
I mean, I really liked it. I thought it was very interesting. I thought they were very thorough in recommending things. But my concern was unless there's somebody actually assigned in the department to kind of stay on top of this and like keep reminding people, okay, has the manual been assigned out? Programming are we doing a new program? No, we're not doing programming because there's no money. Okay, great, but like we're on top of it and we're kind of like checking the list like a manager for this.
Or whenever we get new developments or anything that's coming up, we're gonna refer to this master. This is what they're requesting, this is what the master plan is requesting, so that we follow the master plan, what's in this map, you guys, whatever you wanna call it. This is what after all studying, this is where you guys are developing, this is what we're have. Now, we can oversee that, of course, because this is what, we sat down, actually just this afternoon, we were out in Southern Development looking at some stuff down there. This is what we want, we need fields, at that area there's a lack of fields, so, but now this is used now as a guideline as far as, yes, it is challenging, I agree, it is, but and I don't want to use that, but I will, once we get this, and this is, we will personally say, okay, you know what? Somebody in our department will oversee it and make sure that we stick to those guidelines in the master plan.
Because, I love this, create and implement a phasing plan to improve outdated playground equipment. But someone has to come up with that plan. And systematically, go through it. There were other things, have council pass certain, stuff, and I think in some ways those would be easier than having to start coming up with these standardized manuals.
The standard manual, the standardization of the different park amenities.
It's like amenities, it's marquee signage, it's, procedures, colors, everything.
Just the type of, park benches, especially now that we have the park educational things in place and the developers are allowed to build the improvements instead of paying the park improvement fee. They are actually requesting or asking what type of bench do you need?
Yeah.
I want to put 10 benches of, I don't know, $200 each. Well, I know, but the vandalism, the material, the life of the item. So that's something that it will help us if we are able to put together that type of manual and to say, here, like catalog, like these are the type of playgrounds that
Who's gonna put it together?
Well, that's my question. It's like all of these things require more legwork from the Parks Department.
So first of all, it's not an operations, plan. It's more of a capital improvement plan. So that should be corrected because it specifically says This is
It's not.
not a capital improvement plan, it's an operational plan, which it's not. So then the next step, that if it is a capital improvement plan, is there should be more details on how to implement.
Well, why
Their
do you say
recommendations.
it's a capital improvement plan?
But all it talks about is capital improvements. It talks about
I
growth
mean-
of the park structure.
Kinda like that, for the park, they have it backwards.
Yeah, it's not operations, they didn't get into who does what and how it's done and what's needed as far as personnel and anything
No.
like that.
I mean, when I'm reading this though, I mean, they do recommend certain things for parks. But when I read it, I think of more of like a checklist for what any generic parks department should have. Not so much, you know, Laredo, you guys need, I mean, they did do that some, like the aquatic center, the baseball fields, they did have that.
I think that's what he's saying, that it
I guess I
provides
would
for
say it's
capital
just not,
improvements.
it does, but I wouldn't say it's exclusively a capital improvement. I would say it includes that.
Yeah,
What's the timeline for this? When did they want to see it back?
Well, we wanted to take it back to council before May, ideally, so we can have everything done before May. So we can already, there's a lot of grants out there that we would like to apply. So that once we get approved by the master plan, we have a master plan in place, and we can start, you know, applying for these trails, there's parks, there's a lot of stuff out there. But this is, it's been in the works for how long?
A year and a half, yeah,
Year and a half.
like 18.
My way of thinking is when you're talking about a master plan, it says year one will have so much done. Year two will have all this done by then. You know, year three, so much done. That's right. You're building every year up. It's a master plan to build.
Correct.
I would really love to see that in
Yeah.
this with, I mean, they have some benchmarks by 2040, but I didn't see, you know, year one, let's like set the small goal. Like year one, we're gonna get the standardized manual. And then year two, maybe they can't be that detailed because it's up to staffing and resources.
That's right.
But I think that would be really helpful. I'm just really, I know the city is famous for hiring consultants and then the plan just gets shelved. Like it
Yeah,
gets
I mean-
approved, it's beautiful, and then,
I know that the number one objective of this is to get the grants and stuff, but, I mean, how much did this cost, 190,000?
130, I believe.
I mean, that's a tremendous amount of money for something that's just a tool just to get grants. I mean, a master plan that cost 40,000, 50,000 could have probably done just the same amount. But I know it's, you know, we can't go back and change it, but I think that if we're gonna pay that much money, they should look a little deeper into the operations and make recommendations that you all can go back to city council with and say, hey, we need a licensed irrigator. We need a person in charge of developing these manuals. We need a person that's gonna, you know, do a lot of the different items, and that maybe you all can get the help you need. But to me, it's too generic. They're just saying,
Kind of
well, we recommend all this, but we don't know how you're gonna get there.
yeah, I was kind of, when I was reading here about acquiring adjacent land to the parks, I'm thinking, how is the city going to acquire adjacent land to the parks? I mean, there's developments, it just wasn't, when I read that, I thought that was a little generic too. Like,
One of
there's
the
no
other big items that they don't address is the Vega. And I know that I've been harping on this, the land next to the river.
Yeah.
They talked about it a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's in there.
Yeah, but
Well, not the detail, but it.
But not
how,
detailed.
and I visited with Mark about it, and he said, well, if they build a wall, which it's already funded, and it's coming, they've already told city council, Laredo's one of our top priorities. We're gonna build a wall. So, he said, well, if they build a wall, they're gonna have to put gates wherever the parks are. so that people can go through the gate to get to the park. Because they're probably gonna wall off the parks. And so they talk about the implementation of all of this riverland for parks, but they don't talk about the wall, and they
Yeah.
don't talk about, the access to these parks.
Well, the only thing I remember them saying about River Vega is that it's inaccessible now for most people. So maybe that's how they dealt with it.
Well, I'm talking about like Faskin and all these
Yeah,
parks
they-
that are existing,
They didn't address it.
they're gonna be walled off. And they're probably gonna have parks or police or somebody is probably gonna have somebody in charge of all those gates. But it's something that they should look into and address as a concern, I would think. I mean, it's a huge part of our parks. I think half of our parks are along the river.
The bigger parks are along the river.
Yep.
Niagara Bowl, Slaughter, and stuff that we go down to the south. There's a lot of,
That's where we're at, that is right, so, right there is slaughter.
you what?
No, that is. That's slaughter field. We're gonna have access to
That
that.
was good, You're gonna keep it.
I'm taking.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, I understand that it's, the operation part of it, it's not in there, and I, after looking as well, so, I kind of walked into this one, so I was kind of, let's see where we can, I can see your point, sir. Is it gonna be challenging? Yes, it is, because there's a lot of stuff in here that we have to follow with it, personnel-wise, and all the good stuff. In the perfect world, in other words, this would be the right way to go, right? But I think in breaking it down amongst ourselves, and once we come around budget time, and say, look, this is what the master plan is asking for us, and of course we can't, but we can kind of have something now to fall back on, and come October, so look, this is what they're requiring for, this is what we need to move for, so we're asking, shoot for the stars, and maybe we'll get something, because now we have something it's telling us that we need, okay? Unfortunately, budget comes around. Thank you. Well, so yeah, we kind of tried this, and we need this, but now we got something as well that we can use that. This is what we need for parks, this is what parks are required. Personnel-wise is always the most important thing in our department that we need. We keep getting parks, we're gonna get new parks coming up, the ones over there by Academy, those are gonna be ours in the next, pretty soon. So we're gonna have to keep with those. Our trails are getting bigger, so it's challenging, there's no doubt. Yes, maybe, like maybe the operations wasn't, I agree after I saw it, because I was hoping there was a kind of like a things to fix, things to do, but it just, it's kind of a little guideline or map that we're gonna have to. But to me, first thing I saw is, okay, now I got some backup here that I can go up to council and say, and our management said, look, this is what we need, this is what they're requiring, and it's right here. We're not making this up. So.
I mean, I would really love to see, to your point, kind of what the parks, after the parks really takes a look at this, what are your annual goals? Because I mean, you can go to council and say, this is our master plan, but this master plan requires not just playground upgrades. I mean, it requires a lot of standardization manuals, I mean, that take a lot of time to come up with, unless you're just gonna go to Austin and say, hey, send us your manuals and we'll just white out your name and put our name there. So, I mean, I would really like to see an annual goal would be really nice. And, I mean, we talked a lot last time about the sprinklers. Mr. Cam brought up the need for the sprinklers to be automated. They did not address that in here at all, any of those, and maybe they would consider that a capital improvement, I don't know, but there was one small thing. They did recommend an aquatic center, and I was thinking about it, and I don't know if we'll ever get one, but if we do, it'd be really nice if it was saltwater.
Saltwater.
Saltwater. Indoor and saltwater. Saltwater will work outside here, it's too hot and be too expensive. But indoor would be really nice and it'd be a special feature. I know the chemicals are really caustic and when you're inside breathing those chemicals, there's no like ventilation. It can be really, really hard on the system.
Why not ozone?
Waiting.
An ozone system.
I don't know about an ozone system, so I didn't recommend
Better than a
it.
saltwater system.
Then I'm gonna go with it, whatever. It'd be really nice to have something indoor that's a little different, because on one hand, I think it's so important to standardize certain things within the city, but on the other hand, it'd be really nice to have those forward-thinking projects as well and have that freedom to have some neat items. And he talked about community gardens, and he mentioned avocados, and so that made me think, why don't we have more fruit trees in the city gardens? We talk about community gardens, but we don't have fruit trees. But people can come and pick the fruit, I mean, just to have it.
So we just had, for example, we just had a tree planting upon the Magdeburg
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago.
Last week, you know?
Last 2 weeks ago. We had with great success as well, just like North Central Park. And we did a citrus garden right on the river. 20, we put, I think it was 20, right? It was 20 limes and tangerines and all that stuff on the floor. Really nice orchid.
Yeah.
Really orchid.
Gone the next day.
Or not.
I wouldn't doubt it.
What's that?
Were they gone the next day?
Well, no. We were afraid it was gonna be the next day, so we had, Mr. Navarro, our forester, I don't know what he put something in the bottom, so they weren't able to be able to hang on to that thing and not take it. But we didn't, so, cause we planned ahead, right? We'll put on the trees in the morning, and don't put those things out there, those things will have legs, you know, so unfortunately, even on the ground, they will take them. They will take them, but they didn't take them yet. They haven't taken, they're still there.
Yeah.
Because they put a little, we put something on there, so I love that. It looks nice. Right there, nice orchid right along, Fallen Magnifico, right along the river, you know, towards the river. Great, even this irrigation, we put irrigation on there and everything. It's just that, man, it's unbelievable. I didn't think it was this bad until I came out, I came out of the department.
The problem with citrus trees is you can only get little ones.
Oh,
And so the little ones are so easy to steal.
Yeah.
well, what's a good fruit tree that's bigger? That would be, I mean, they're all kind of small when you buy
Well,
them.
the ones that you can buy from like a garden center, they're all gonna be small.
My question is, should we get back to this, so we can figure out if we're gonna approve it or not, or what's gonna happen?
Well, no, we have to approve, we can write down recommendations, you know, we don't have to approve it now. Once it comes back, and we'll look at it, and say, look, maybe we could put suggestions, maybe we could, any operations you can see in there, you see anything, sorry about, can we put some operations, suggestions, anything y'all need to do, we can
Some
send
annual
it to,
benchmarks.
you know.
Operations, benchmarks, and.
Go ahead and write it down, you can go ahead and write it down there, or
Plan for implementation.
yeah, would you like to email it to us as well, that'll be easier to
If
draw,
we just
yeah.
compile all of the
Correct.
recommendations and just to send one,
Yeah.
one document with all the,
Because
Right.
I really want to see what the Parks Department wants to do with this.
Right,
Because that's really ultimately what's going to matter.
right.
So
And also-
that's what I'm really interested in.
And once we get that, when the consultant comes down and talks to all of us, hey, how can you, they'll help our parks department, I wanna know as well too, you know, how can you help us implement all this, how do you have an operation wise, what do you think we're missing, what do we need, you know, I wanna know myself, you know, so
Yeah.
hopefully he or she will have a better idea to give us a plan.
I was asking, what your all's recommendation was, because it seems to me like if we vote for this, we implement it, burden's on you guys.
Yeah.
You know, we're giving you, so, you know, I'd rather you all are comfortable with it because it could be just a ton of work, which, you know, based on some of the comments, it could be a ton of work. And we just dumped it on you because we voted yes for it, but.
Well, when I look at this, I don't think the Parks Department's going to do everything here.
Correct. there's a
I
ton of
think the
work.
Parks Department is going to look at this and say, wow, we like A, B, C, definitely not E and F, but maybe K.
But
And
you'll
that's
be
what I want to
held-
see from the Parks
you'll-
Department.
But they'll be held as staff
Well,
to this.
that's what I don't know. maybe
And-
not.
and This is a proposal for the moment, until it's presented to council, the expected time in May.
Well, I can have it in May.
Would then be, there be modifications after, when it's presented to council?
No, when it goes to council, it's already modified and everything already good, ready to buy it, like, we've said the recommendations, we went through it, we already had a presentation, we all approved it, and then here we go, then we take it to council. Speaking of, for example, if you go to page 15, if you ever go to page 15 real quick, just to give you an example.
That's right.
This is to kind of break it down here, what we talked about as far as before, what we can do. So we talked about the Rio Grande Vega land, right? What we were saying is park goals. For example, develop future park land and add improvements to the existing park system to meet the needs of the residents, okay. Then you keep going a little bit further down. Where is it here? Promote park that provides offerings and accommodations of persons of all ages and abilities. All right, and then it says, increase park connectivity, recreation offerings, and bicycle and pedestrian networks through the development of the Trails Master Plan. Okay, so for example, we're connecting from Father Magnival, running all the way down to, I know the Vega Land right now is still kind of but we already foresee it, that that's what we're going to do, and that's where we're going, we have a plan that it's going to be connected all the way down the river, all the way down to LC, and working our way up to Zacate Creek. So when I looked at it, I said, well, this is a kind of already stuff that we're in the future. The vision is there. It's in the process already, right? So that next first step, you know what? Our goals are to work on the Vega Land, let's say in 2020, to finish up almost the completion of the Vega Land, to connect the trails from Father Magnival. Something realistic, something realistic that you can see in phases where it's coming in. And and we could tell you as a board, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, on the year 2020 of next year, but 2021, this is what we're going to be reasonable from here. That we're going to connect the Vega Land to all the trails, connected from Father Magnival all the way up to Baskin, up to all the way down the river. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and I would love to see, that's exactly what I would love to see in implementing this for the annual plan. And I would go even more specific, connect 5 miles of trails.
There you go.
So that we can see at the end of the
Well,
year.
But we can do something realistic.
You might
according
get
to
that
this.
for free.
I'm sorry?
You might get that for free,
Okay.
because part of the plan of the wall is to build a road next to the wall,
Okay.
so that work control can
Sure.
go up and down the
No,
wall
yeah.
and check the wall. So, I mean, you might have bikers and people going up and down that road.
Mr. Khan, we have it right now.
Attractive for a Saturday morning walk along the border wall.
We had, on the tree planting,
You can stop at my taquito, that's right.
You're right, during the tree planting, we took our bikes out there. Councilman Alger wanted the bikes. So I got on a bike and I drove with one of the instructors and we went down the trail.
That's in the valley, that's in Mission.
Maybe I can put some climbing boxes on it.
And I went down the trail that the Border Patrol has built, and we went right along the river, beautiful, I'd never seen it myself. And on the bike, we went down about 3 miles down the river. I couldn't move the next day, but it was nice, and we went all the way down, and wow, and all that trail was Border Patrol that was land of the Border Patrol. I mean, I just saw the guys sleeping in there, but they were at the car parking, and it was all done, and the guy told me, this is all done by Border Patrol. And then we got up to a little steep area where and right down the road, you can see where there was continue down the river. Hopefully, we'll connect to the Vega Land and back over there by the ice storage and into the bridge number 3 and go into Baskin. So something. What I'm trying to say is something that's doable. That we can give you plans. Look, there ain't no way we're gonna do this in 1 year. There ain't no way.
No.
So, but get something realistic. Look, we're gonna connect from Father Magnival to here to the Vega Land, and this is our goal by the end of the year. And then we'll go, you know what, the parks are this is what our check, so that we can sit down and give you some realistic goals, and give us a year, and this is our plan, and this is what we accomplish a year from now. And use this as a guideline or a map, or to give us an idea of what we need to, and we will pick and choose what's the most important things. That's doable, right? There's something that's doable and very, but at least we have, we're not trying to grab straws and try to do this, at least we have an idea what's needed, what we could improve, and make it, you know, make our vision of what we have for the year.
Coach, and I know that, like I said, the reality is this was the tool to get funding for other projects.
Sure.
Hopefully, when it's presented to council, they can get you the help you need
Right.
to be able to implement this, because right now, you all are just barely managing what you have, and trying to grow it and implement this stuff is gonna be near impossible without some help.
Correct.
I got a question, just real quick.
Sure.
Is there any talk right now of what they're gonna wait to see what the census count comes out with?
For
The city of Laredo, with the census coming up, the whole talk about more money or less money and all that.
yeah,
Well, it's determined, it takes about 2-3 years after it's been done.
right, you don't get immediate result, you don't get immediate funding for that. No, I agree, sir, I agree, but now I got myself a little tool in the back pocket now that I can go up there with a little bit of moral fight.
On
And that's
page
what we need.
87, it gives us a time frame from where we are now to year 2040. Maybe something we can look into is, they're telling us where we need to be, whether by 2040 with a population of over 400,000 residents. Maybe a little time frame of how we are doing, maybe within at least a 5-year projection rather than 20 years down the road. It is pretty clear that the needs will grow, but how are we gonna get there? Or what's the plan in place of how we can get there?
Expand this page into maybe a couple of pages.
I mean, I would rather see the first year, instead of building anything, I would personally rather see the standardization manuals. Like, this is our plan for future parks, this is what we want to see in preservation zones, this is what we want to see for, these are the amenities we want to see at each park, this is what a skate park should look like. So that there's something to come back to. I mean, to me, that's the most important thing before, building more pools or more splash pads or, implementing. Okay, I do have to say, they thought we should have another golf course, and I thought that was a little silly. But that was the only thing I was like, I don't know about that.
Well, the same with golf courses, that's why a lot of big businesses don't come into town. First thing you say is there's not enough golf courses.
That was the reason given for why they did the max. But I think people don't come to town because there's nothing to do. There's no museums. Like, when family comes to visit me, they're like, okay, what are we gonna see? I'm like, well, we have all this historical stuff. We have Fort McIntosh, but there's just a community college there. There's no tour, there's no museum, there's no, you can do the walking tour of downtown with Cook County Heritage Foundation. So I don't know. And then families don't want to move here because, I don't know. The max is a money pit. So it's
And I
beautiful.
understand, well, I don't know how true it is, but
It's
I remember
incredibly
that
beautiful.
they're already talking about another golf course somewhere out there.
But people don't want to drive.
the other side.
Yeah.
They play at the country club.
That's the
The
other.
country club right now is not up to 100% par. It's getting there, but
But I mean, it's close. It's close. I mean, to get to the max, you have to battle the trucks and the traffic to get out there.
There's a road that's gonna be on the works now that I saw. That's gonna be connected from 35 on the Mount Margaret 11 cutting straight across.
There's two.
Two of them?
There's one at Killam and there's one at the HR roofing connection. But still, I mean, you'd have to go up 35 and then across. It's just, it's a nightmare to get out there.
I'll drive with them. I love golf.
Yeah.
I'll drive that any day. I'd rather play that in the country club in a heartbeat. Not because I oversee it,
No.
but it's a beautiful course.
It is.
I mean,
It's
really beautiful. It's really beautiful. I don't want to take anything away from the max. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I just don't know that there's a lot of people willing to drive how you're willing to drive because it's losing money.
Right. No, well, we're back in the black again. because
All right.
thank goodness for the country club that they closed, so we
Oh,
had a lot of people over there, made a lot of good money, but they made it 6 months after.
How long will it be closed?
Well, they just did the front nine, the back nine here in the country club, because I paid it on Monday, at the tournament, we have to pay the same nights twice, and they're still gotta do the front nine, so it's gonna be another 5 to 6 months.
And what are they doing there?
It's gonna be a good.
We're doing the greens.
They're redoing the greens?
We're doing the greens. So right now, only the back nine's open, and the country club members are complaining, and they're making it happen fast, and yes, you know,
How do they redo the greens? Just-
they're doing the slope, different slopes.
Oh, so they're actually redoing the
Or they're like resurfacing, like
Resurfacing the slopes, the different.
like
irrigation.
changing it all?
Everywhere,
Everything.
Wow, that's
It's
amazing.
like, it's hard.
That's-
So, but the members are complaining, that it's taking too long, and they're trying to rush, and you know what happens in golf, you gotta give it time before it, so everything can sit the way it's supposed to,
Yeah,
and all they're doing is damaging it.
I wonder how they're addressing the salt.
I don't know, but I got no complaints, we keep getting people over there.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. Well,
So
that's-
I would just say we don't need another golf.
Yeah, no, I don't know about them, well, they are looking into, they are looking into building one across the highway for the match, because there's a
Oh, so
subdivision
next
across.
to the max that no
across-
one goes
across
to,
the highway.
right next to that one?
It's gonna be right in front of
We
you.
can
Am
have
I
two
the only one who
trains.
sees the problem with
That's
it?
You can pick up golf. It's the same.
I tried, you know what, I went to one lesson at the country club, and I thought this sport takes way too much time. I don't have 5 hours every Saturday, so,
At least 5 hours.
at least. But, I mean,
I think you
who
do
is
that.
gonna build another golf course by the max?
Money.
But I mean, is that a city? No, that's a private.
It's gonna be
A private
private.
investment?
Oh, well, good for them. I mean, let them do whatever they want to do, as long as it's not a drain on the
If we
city.
got that money, they wanna spend it.
That's right.
They want to make a country club.
Yeah.
Burning a hole in their pocket, I guess.
Yeah, so yeah, so, I mean, I know there's a lot of, on the ideal world, but I think, you know, we want to make it realistic and pick and choose of what we can do in the first year. All right, and then I think maybe you can recommend back, hey, is there anything you can see operational cost, operation-wise that we can add in here? That, you know, I don't know, Grace, maybe you can, have you met, I know you met with them, with these people over the phone, have you met with them personally? I mean, again, I've
Yeah, no, we've met several times.
they've come down here.
So,
Yes, they have.
are we okay making a motion to table this and bring it back at the next meeting? And
Do we need to approve it?
establish,
You don't
No,
have.
no,
We
we
don't.
can approve it. Oh, no.
No.
and establish
I
like
mean, and we're
a.
not rejecting it either.
No,
Time
okay.
frame?
You can just like
We can
provide
recommend a time
recommendation
frame.
and table it for approval
I don't know if I
after.
was supposed to write in it, but I wrote in it.
No, that's fine.
That's,
Well, can we keep it on the agenda for, you know?
Well, we can put it back on the agenda, and
keep it
then,
on the agenda?
I loved the inventory of the parks. I thought that was so helpful, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to see something like this forever, and so I went to the parks website, and it's still not searchable, it's still the old website. Am I missing something? I thought we had a new website.
we should,
do.
it's
I couldn't find a search, there was no search button.
City of Laredo Parks and Rec.
I went on my phone, but the website should be the same on the phone. I kept searching, looking for like a search, like park amenities or, you know, search what's near your house. I couldn't find anything.
in the website, like part of the website, I don't remember, I haven't.
It
Is
is,
that like a search?
That was my
command?
big
No.
thing, because you go to the website, all the information is there, but you can't find anything.
They want the search.
And they wouldn't, yeah, he's the second person that
Is-
I literally
is
had
there-
to show her how to.
It's not
People working on the
obvious.
website.
Thank you for saying that,
Have you
it's
gone to the-
not obvious.
is it City of Laredo, City of Laredo Parks and Rec?
Is that like a map of the different parks, is that what you're talking about?
Well, no, it had a map, which is the same map that I've seen before with all the parks, but it's not searchable. So when for me, I want to go to the website and have a drop down menu that says search, and then drop down park amenities, ages, parks within 5 miles of my house. You know, so I
Search engine.
can search with different functions.
And is there a bike trail map?
Or
on
bikes,
the
you know,
website?
trails, you
On
know.
our website?
Because that's,
Yes.
several people have asked me, is there a map showing all of the trails that interconnect the different parks?
I did see that, Chris, right? I don't know, I wish I know what you're bringing. And if you don't mind adding to the meeting, next meeting, we have all bring our public information officer, Eddie Milan, and he's the one that's been updating all the website and all that. And we can put it up on the
Can
screen.
we do a run through of the
Sure,
new
we'll put it up on the screen,
Okay.
so y'all can see how to get there, what's needed, and say, you know what, let's add this, you know, look at this. And
But a bike trail map would be, I think, very important. A lot of people have asked me, you know, they'd like to see how it's all interconnected.
Okay.
The other thing that I forgot to mention, and I think they touched on it a little bit on here, is, I know the city's been meeting with Henry Cuellar and the federal government on the improvements of the creek. Is it Zacate Creek or is it, it's the one that's over there by TAMU that runs all the way to the river. And it has flood issues. And there's a big master plan on it.
Chacon,
Chacon.
yes.
Chacon Creek. Is that in here? Because that's like a $50 million package that the federal government's gonna give us to improve that whole
I didn't
watershed.
see that in there.
I didn't see
No,
it.
I didn't see the.
So that's something else that should be touched upon because that's a major item for the city, for the parks. I mean, it's,
Well, yes and no, because
I know a lot of it has to do with building
Yeah.
and buying land and
buying
stuff
houses that are built in the
in the floodplain
floodplain,
and stuff
a lot
like
of that
that.
is going for that.
But I still think that there are, you know,
Well,
major improvements
the
to that.
intent is to make some parks in there, but I
Yeah.
don't know if there's a game plan. I don't even know if the money's been given by the feds yet. Mark said he's going to Washington to talk about it, so I don't, they made it sound like it's not there
No, it's not there yet.
yet.
It's not,
He's gonna go fight for it.
it's still in the initial phases and, you know, wants it just to get started.
Maybe I misunderstood. I thought that it was further down, further along than it is.
Yeah, because the newspaper made it sound like it was, we got a check for $50 million. And
It sounded like that.
when I asked, it's like, well, no, not really.
Not really, okay.
But it'd be good to stick our foot in there and say, hey, part of this money we'd like to put parks, you know, or something, you know, just keep that on the
Now, there is a
agenda.
master plan. Do we have that master plan somewhere?
For Chacon?
Yeah. There was a very extensive master plan built for Chacon at one time. And I know that they started doing certain portions of it, but there's still a lot left to do.
No, we do have it, and I know that some of the improvements we've done along Chacon were done through also TechStop, through, I guess, for, what is it called, like transportation, like connectivity, like some of the major highways, or like the Clark.
Do you have that readily accessible? Is it hard to
That's
get
what comes
access to
up when
that?
I searched city
That would
planning
be-
parks.
I need to look for it, I know that
I
we
saw it, so
have.
I was engineering.
I know it's like a big map. like a
Yeah,
big-
we have those maps on a big frame
No one does
there at the office,
They're-
but I know that we have like the actual binder with all the recommendations, what they were supposed to be doing. Yes.
In our conference room.
Yes.
In our conference room, I noticed when you all were there, last
We
week,
had it
we had,
last week, it was,
train.
well, I had it in the hallway.
Now they're in the hall, we put them in the hallway.
Okay.
Yeah, more welcome to come on and see them.
Yeah, I'll go by and
Take pictures of it, or maybe we can find you the,
and take a look at it. I had a couple of people asking me about that. One of them was George Beckelheimer, and he said he worked on getting that master plan put together.
No, that's not a
And,
good search engine.
and he's
What
like,
I wanted
what's
was
going on with that?
pull down.
Why haven't they
Because-
pursued the, and I said, I don't know, I haven't even seen the master plan.
Yeah, the bike trails,
But-
BBQ.
And he's running for city council, so he might be coming back into
This is
that
the thing,
loop.
I'm gonna search for things
Right.
and nothing is gonna pull up.
I'll check on
So
that.
what I wanted for the search.
yeah, come by the office and welcome to it. Yeah, we got them there on the
You do
wall.
online shopping and you can search
Okay.
shirts, short sleeve shirts.
So then,
long
I'd like to
sleeve
make a motion, if I can, to table this and add it to, keep it on our agenda,
shirts. Because
so
it's-
until we can get to a final
where, you know,
Yeah.
maybe.
Would we be
Bring it
able
back
to
for
provide
review
a
next
deadline?
To keep it on the agenda for all the meetings until we get to a point, so
Search
we don't
parks
forget.
here, or search
I
parks
second the
Laredo,
motion.
and then drop down menu, and you say.
Would that include also, we can email any changes, modifications, or recommendations?
Can we better email, go ahead and email.
Right, if we can start
We
a
used to go to every single.
email thing, so we can just keep it all in one, so you
That's
can just
the
read all the
whole
comments on
website, which I
it.
did not
We can
like.
start something.
Now, I know Coach mentioned the deadline by May.
I would like to, that's my deadline, that's my.
We would like to, so hopefully Mr. Navarro would,
Yeah, I know this parking area.
Push
this
it.
parking
then we
area.
push on a
Oh,
deadline
this
here with
parking
us, that
area,
way
just
they have
two
enough
hours
time
away,
to
also
make those
parking.
additions.
And
We're not back here until,
There was one
Mark?
time that we meet twice
Search
in 1
each
month.
park. Yeah, that's too late.
Hey, I wouldn't even
I
mind if
think
we
it
get
was
a
a year
workshop.
ago, more or
I will
less,
see
because
if
the
I
other
can
thing,
find
maybe
a park
we can
website
do that
had-
again.
There was one I saw and
In the
I wish
beginning
I
and
saved it,
towards
where it was
the
a good
middle.
search.
I think the last time,
Kind of
the last time we met,
easily
we
searching
basically
all
said,
of the,
let's write the comments
all
and
the
turn it
handicap
in,
parks in Laredo.
and put
Because
all
I
the
would
comments
drive, if I'm
together,
looking for a
so
handicap park, I would drive.
everybody can just turn in their
You
comments
know, all
and.
the heat
And then you'll be back in
all the
October,
pools,
yeah.
all splash pads, all
Either
the
write it in or email them, then
dog
we
parks,
can put them in.
all of the.
If-
Sooner the better.
Because I
If
don't,
down the road,
someone,
to push it on, we need a workshop
I know the
that is
independent,
specific to this and nothing else,
what's a dog park? Independence.
call for a meeting, just have a
But that's
workshop
just
on
because I know where to.
on the book.
Like if I was in front here.
Do what
Okay, so let me ask you that, would it help you all to bring the consultant down before we finalize it? Or would you guys have a consultant once everything comes through, so any, that way the consultant can hear our concerns and needs, whatever, and then, we can go finalize it.
Could we, I mean, I don't think he has to drive to Laredo, if we could get him on the screen and have an audio conference or something like that.
Well,
where
why
they
don't
can
we-
explain their thoughts.
Why don't we send the comments, have them do whatever revisions they're gonna do, send it back to us, and then we can look at it and make a decision on.
we can just,
If I may, Coach, let me talk to them, because when they first started with like developing the plan and putting together stuff, I know that, I need to go back to the scope of work of their contract. But I know that they were here a couple of times. They presented to the board, although we had different members. I don't know if you were still, because
Yeah.
they were here. They did the presentation for, and then they had like open, kind of like,
they had several town halls.
right. And also, they were at City Hall for all the council members to swing by and provide their comments, and so I just need to, I will need to double check with them to see if it's possible for them to do kind of like a summary of what they
Yeah,
were
we
able
just-
to put together and answer questions.
We might be spinning our wheels if.
Or just kind of what they would recommend for next steps. I mean, would they recommend the Parks Department hire someone to write the manuals? Would they recommend contracting it out or having an actual staff member dedicated? Just, you know, and then here are some names of people who write them, and these are kind of a ballpark price. And just like have them help us figure out what our next steps are and what the Parks Department wants the next steps.
What she's saying is, here's the manual, go ahead and review it, but there might not be any possible revisions, it might be already done.
That's fine.
So
I mean,
if they're not willing to do revisions, then we're spinning our wheels.
Well,
I see, because they've already been paid and so they don't need to provide the next steps.
I need to check.
That would be
Like,
She's gonna check.
not included in the original contract.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think there's a motion on the floor in a second.
All those in favor of tabling this
And maintaining it on the meeting
agenda?
agenda for future meetings until.
Okay, so the motion is to table it, but maintain it on the agenda for future meetings.
So we'll figure that out.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion passes. We have staff reports, various events.
Okay, Nora May is our superintendent there for the rec department. She will come over and, she came over to kind of keep updated on events that are coming up and that happened. Yeah, I know, I didn't get to, I I was so excited about it, I forgot to take pictures of it. So I have pictures on my phone. I have pictures on my phone.
Cool.
But I guess I'll, a staff report, I guess. And we finally got our bubble in for the inner city pool. Indoor pool. It's on the news, it came out already?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I heard that they called me to have
They wanted to show that.
I have pictures.
You have pictures? I have pictures too. I have it on my phone, but we'll give you better pictures or we'll give you better pictures. So indoor, the bubble finally came in, we set it up last week. Open to the public first thing Tuesday morning. They loved it. It's nice, custom size to our inner city pool. And nice and warm in there regardless of what the temperature is outside in the mornings or evenings. And our plan is to keep that up starting from October till the end of March for 6 months until the weather it's a heated pool anyways. So we got nothing but positive feedback from it. Both Councilman Bali and Councilman Torres were the ones that put half and half on it. And everybody loves it now, and everybody's saying we need some more around town. So I think we just opened up a can of worms here, which is good. Oh yeah, there you go. And
If you just did one indoor pool, that would solve it.
so that's in the plans for the sports complex. Just FYI.
There you go.
That's great, that's great. This is the sports complex you were talking about a couple items ago
Right.
with the baseball fields.
Correct. Yes, ma'am. So that when hopefully, oh my God, hopefully we should already, I know, we already have it with the companies to go out for RFQs, and hopefully we want to break ground sometime in July this year. Gonna be about a year and a half to, even though we got a big pony event coming up the following summer, so.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Hopefully we can make it, so.
Okay,
So
but
with RFQs, I know we've talked about this
Okay,
with some districts with RFQs. Is this something you're gonna be bidding
Okay,
out
no problem.
nationally,
Okay.
not
Yes,
just locally?
no, this opens up for everybody. For example, we had
Walking partner.
the water park is already, we went our RFQs already. We had 9 bids that came in, 9 different companies. One from Tennessee, one from Nebraska, 7 from all over the state. I think we got 2 local companies as well. So there was 9 companies that put the bid for the water park. And we're gonna evaluate them and just go ahead and rank them from there. So these are interests from all over the nation.
Is the location still the same by the arena?
Right next to Unit Trade.
If I could just make one recommendation is, do you all have anything to do with the grading of the and selection of the designer?
Do we have anything to do with it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have input of what we want and what we need and all that.
Okay, what I've seen happen in other departments is they'll have a local designer, and he will list several specialists that he's gonna use for the project, and then he's awarded the project, and then he uses whoever he wants. And so I would tie, if a local designer is selected, and he does use the top specialists from all over this place on his list of specialists, if he changes his specialist, the contract is voided.
Interesting.
Because,
But the city of Laredo doesn't hire locals, because we don't qualify for anything.
well, they hired Gilman for the sewer.
That was a joke, because there was a comment.
That's city manager.
I missed this.
Next time.
Okay, we'll do it later.
We'll do it off camera.
Okay, thanks.
So anyway, yeah, just if they're gonna list specialists for a project, they shouldn't be allowed to just, say, okay, we decided we're not gonna use that guy, he's too expensive, we're gonna go with the cheap guy over here.
That's all.
So that would be a violation of the contract, which would then,
The contract should be tied to the team.
Yeah, right.
You change the team?
Subcontractor that belongs to the.
Yeah.
Is the idea for this water park to be like one big water park for the entire city? Or is the city wanting to do one of these in each district? So it's just like
One big
small-
water park for the whole city.
One big kahuna. Then I would say, if this is gonna be the one, I would really love if there was a possibility to visit some of the other water parks that those designers have done. Like the one in Nebraska, maybe they've done one in Texas that we could
Right.
visit
So whoever gets whoever.
before they get it.
Yeah, right.
To actually see, because I think a lot of times things look great on paper,
Yeah.
and then when you go, you talk to people, it's not so great.
Right, and that's, I guess, I don't wanna call it either fortunately or unfortunately, but that was a concern, Madam Chair, and myself, city engineer, and two other directors will go visit sites around the areas, the nation, whatever, to see what they have done so that we can bring a recommendation. So we're gonna go look at their work in different water parks, municipal water parks.
And I don't know if would be possible, but it'd be really nice in your fact-finding mission if you were able to visit some municipal water parks that maybe are really well-known or award-winning, to get more ideas about what you want someone to do.
Now, one of the directives that we have from city council members is that this water park is not something that the family can only go once a year or only when the income tax check comes in. Being that we're gonna go SeaWorld or we're gonna go to, they want to make it affordable for the family, that they can go, whenever they want to, $5 a person, $20 for the whole family, $20 for the whole family. A nice water park, but make it affordable. And the way to do that is, make sure that we emphasize that to the, not when you go to Center Ball, when you go to Six Flags, it's $60, $50, $45 per person. And you won't see those people again. We gotta know the type of people we have. We wanna make it to where they can come and enjoy it affordable and year round.
So it'll be heated, it'll be year-round available.
Well, this fact is to make money.
Oh yeah, that's a city.
That's what it turns to.
Municipal water parks normally do make money. They're run by the municipality. And they're run by third party, and they usually somehow end up being money. That's a study we
yeah,
found out.
you mentioned Coach, another park that's close by, maybe outside Austin, it's also municipal, in Round Rock. Yeah,
Hurricane Alley.
Was that built by the same individuals that?
That company put a bid in there.
Okay.
I've seen it, I've been in there, it's really nice. That's something, I wish we could come similar ourselves to that. That is more of what kind of we're looking for. Yeah, it's Hurricane Alley right there in Pflugerville and Round Rock.
Oh, yeah, in Pflugerville, yeah.
Right off the toll road.
That was very nice, very clean, very clean.
Nice. That's run by the city of Pflugerville. That's the park.
This is what the event's coming up, huh?
Yes, okay, no, I'm sorry, I jumped the gun. We went from the bubble to that. So, Nora May will come in on the events coming up, I'm sorry.
This is a list of our events almost all the way up to November. So we divided them bike rides. We're not doing bike rides on our trails, so people can get to know the trails. So I know that a lot of people are asking where are our trails, so we're taking the bikes and staff with surplus, so people can take their families. They can take their own bikes, but we also have bikes for them. So we've started already, and we had a really good one with the tree planting. So, we have the dates there. The next one is.
I'm sorry, I want to promote a lot of bike riding
Yeah.
and, I told them, we have bikes, how many bikes do we have?
About 50 bikes.
50 bikes bought by the city, so.
All sizes, start with wheels, no wheels, all the way up to the mountain bikes. So,
So our directive, I told him, our directive, every 2 weeks, go to different parks, go to different trails. Go to Vandenberg, go to Slaughter, go to Central Park. So we're going twice a month, we'll be around all over the city on Saturday mornings doing bike rides. And that will be on our website. We're gonna get it out
and it's
there.
a couple of hours from 10 to 12 to 1.
So I mean, that would be something I would include in the drop-down searchable menu, trail rides. And then it would have the rotation of the addresses.
Yeah, we have the events that are on the month, they're there. We have them on the web.
But you have to go to the calendar. and you
No, it's in
have
the
to
front.
sit
The
through.
flyer for the month is there. So whatever's coming up in the next couple of weeks is already there. So there's a flyer that you'll see that pops up on my first.
Let me see that flyer. There we go. The second one. That one, what is that?
This is,
Oh, spring break camp.
No, this is. That I just
But
added.
does that have all the events? It has all the events on the flyers?
No, on the calendar, on the
No.
website like we showed you, if you go all the way
Yeah.
down, it'll
Okay.
tell you the calendar and the event that they're doing.
Yeah, there'll be like 5 events right there that are coming up. And so you'll see a flyer.
But what you wanna see is a pull-down search.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
because, I mean, when I have, you know, a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I don't know, for example, if the trail ride is going to be kid-friendly or if it's gonna be for adults.
It's kid-friendly, they're all family events.
So, I mean, and, you know, I'm not interested in playing tennis, but I wanna know what pools are heated and open year-round. And I don't wanna have to search through everything because I already kind of have in my mind, I'm gonna search by age or by a specific activity, or, you know, pull down thing coming up this weekend. And then you can see everything that's coming up and make a decision.
Okay, yeah, I got your, I have to.
Selena lookalike contest.
Is there really one? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
That's gonna be awesome.
You're jumping the gun.
Is this the
sorry,
first
sorry.
one you've done?
Sorry, I got
Oh,
excited.
that's what
Yeah,
you're excited about,
yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
my fault.
And besides the bike rides, we've got the out,
I got a concern with this is lookalike contest for girls. Nowadays, can you put that?
no, that's just their, we're gonna open it to everybody. So we have 2 categories.
Before you all get sued.
Well, I don't know that it's
So
saying
I
friendly
12 and
anymore.
under.
Don't jump the gun, say it.
Jump the gun, stay there.
Yeah.
So, other family outdoor events or family days out that we take to different parks.
Mhm.
We've done this in the past. We do 3 each part of the year, like in the spring. We don't do them in the summer because it's too hot, so we start in March now with the first one, which is gonna be at Bartlett. And every time we do one at Bartlett, it's a big event. Outdoor activities, and these are like archery, I already have the flyer here, paddle boats that we put in the lake, kayaks that we put in the lake, no, the pond. It's not a lake, it's a pond. Archery, music, arts and craft for kids. So last event that we did there was really good. So we're doing 3 before the summer, and then we'll do 3 more after the summer. And then we have the outdoor concert series, which we started last year, and it's becoming a really good event. We did 2 last year. The first one was back to the 80s, and we did that at North Central Park. About 1,000 people attended that one. Then we did one in Independence, which was Tejano music. It was a really cold day, but we got around 700 people to go to that one. So the next one is this Selena Quintanilla tribute night, and we're expecting a big crowd on this one. It's free. We're doing everything through sponsors. So this is really good. Everybody's liking it because you do it in Austin, you do it in San Antonio, you do it everywhere. So we copied that. And we've got some sponsors that help us out with that.
And this is gonna be, which park is it again?
This is the Tres Laredo downtown, behind the
Oh,
outlet mall.
Where the
And
jacuzzi
we'll use
was.
the parking lot of the outlets. So we try to do this where we have parking, because we're expecting a big crowd on all these concerts. Bring your own chair, bring your blanket, sit down and enjoy the concert. So this one, we're just adding the contest, the lookalike, because people have asked if we can do a lookalike contest. So here we already have 3 bands playing for that. We have the girl that imitates her, because
I've seen her, she's from Laredo.
she's from Laredo, she's from one of the high schools. She dresses up with her and does a whole show, and everybody knows her, she's real good. So she's gonna be there too. So the next one would be at Progreso Park and then Slaughter, and then we have the September ones. Or Slaughter, yeah, Cigarroa, and then to be announced. And then we have something new, which is the senior games. It's not new, it's something that we're bringing back. Something that we can give to the senior population, 50 and over. It's like a mini Olympics in a week. So we've got golf.
I'm not 50 yet, though, but it's okay.
Yeah, but we've got different events. So we've got archery, basketball, free throws, cornhole, dominoes. We've got a little bit of everything, more recreation, less recreation. So it's our first event, and it's being sponsored also. So a lot of these events is not costing a lot to us. We're getting good sponsorship.
It's a whole week of events for
We'll have an opening ceremony and then, we'll have events every day. It's on spring break. So hopefully we have a good crowd for that. And then we have the airport 5K run the runway. Something new. And we're expecting a good crowd. The new thing now is to run on the runways of the airports. So, yes. Corpus does it. Big major airports, Dallas, Love does it. Houston, the other airport does it. Florida, a bunch of airports, Atlanta, North Carolina. So big airports do it, so we're not as big, so we're able to close the airport for a couple of hours and run on the runway. So the experience of just running on the runway is bringing a lot of people.
What's is 2 times up and back or what?
No, it's 5K is 3.1, 2.1 miles. So we'll go all the way down the runway and come back, and we'll be able to make the run. So they're gonna be able to run actually on the runway.
Airplanes parked on the side, and they're like.
Then they'll have planes on the FedEx side.
Right to the FedEx airplanes.
And there'll be somebody taking pictures as you run and behind the plane, so it's something new, but other cities do it, and we're expecting a good crowd. It's the fastest route because it's totally flat.
Great idea.
So it's the fastest 5K that you can run. We're also doing a 1K for those that can't run and want the experience to be on there, a 1K. So we'll have a lot of kids and people walking that 1K. So
The flyers are ready and everything, I mean, I know you all posted on social media.
it's already posted, there's already a link that you can register. And we also have good prizes. The winner has a vacation for 2 to a Mexican beach getaway. One of the airlines, the new airline they donated one of them. They donated.
What was the new airline?
I know they're.
Yeah, this year.
I'll show you that.
April.
Yeah, picture of the shirts. I just like.
Yeah.
Look at the nice shirts they made for the. If nothing else, if you know what?
You're gonna have a shirt.
You can get a nice shirt. Look at the shirt for the.
Yeah.
Look at the nice shirt for the.
Airport security's gonna have.
We have a lot of
The airport. Yeah, that's crazy.
This is the shirt. So it has the plane and the.
Oh, that's cool.
I think we have a huge running community. that-
We do, and we're trying to
That's awesome.
reach out to them, so. It has a city on the bottom, so.
That's cool.
That's kind of like.
Join the golfing committee.
Cool.
Yeah.
Big airport.
Has a bottom, so, well, it's
And that's when?
Very nice.
April 18th.
April 18th, we changed the dates a couple of times.
Oh, there it is.
Same day as the concert.
Yeah, this will be in the day, the concert will be at night.
Right.
Yeah. It's cool. So this is something new and we're expecting a good crowd. The thing about that with the 1K and the 5K. Yeah, and on that note, we also have the marathon. Last year was a half marathon, this year's gonna be a full marathon. And it's gonna be all around the city, so that's in October.
Is that the qualifier for the?
Well, it's not a qualifier yet, we gotta have a couple of them under our belt, and then it'll become a qualifier. I mean, we also need, the experience of going through, we had the half marathon, now we have a full marathon. So it's a little bit bigger and involves a little bit more. We already have the route and everything, so it's gonna be posted online pretty soon.
Awesome.
So those are big events, these events attract people, and what we wanna do is attract people from out of town to come visit Laredo.
Yeah.
So with the 5K and the marathon,
And there's not much other than manpower, maybe police officers around or staff.
Well,
I mean, there's.
volunteers for the route.
I was gonna say, if you, I've been to some races where the state guard, right, if you tell them what time, they give them their orders, and their orders are to man the marathon route. But you gotta go in advance and get with the general or whatever, whoever it is that orders them, because it has to be by orders, because then they come out and they're dressed in their military gear, and then you can get the medical staff and all that stuff. But you gotta do it way in advance. But that's one way to get a volunteer base of guys that have orders to be at certain points.
Is that like State National Guard?
The
They-
National Guard?
It's the
Army
state
National Guard?
guard, because there's a difference. There's National Guard and there's
There's
state
National
guard.
Guard.
I never heard of
I
it.
think it's a state guard.
If I
Look
can,
into it.
if I can add a little bit to that runaway 5K, the most important part of that, gets excited about the running in the planes, because I love planes and I love to jog, but my foot, I got a bad wheel right now. But I'm gonna go get checked tomorrow.
Okay.
That's why, I'm gonna go get checked tomorrow in San Antonio. But the most important thing about that is all the proceeds go to our summer programs
Yes.
for the Parks and Rec. Because last year, I don't know if y'all aware of this or not, we have a summer track program, okay? That we've had for many years. They used to go to compete in McAllen, and they go, a lot of underprivileged kids from Martin and all those areas, Nixon and all that. But they gotta pay, they wouldn't pay. They wouldn't pay. It was always free. The Parks and Rec will pick up the bill whenever they qualify for McAllen, and then we'll go to College Station for the state qualify, and it was park. Unfortunately now, I think it was last year when legal told us, you know what? We cannot pay for them and we cannot travel with that. We would literally get on the vans and take those kids over. So for liability purposes, and things have changed now, as you know, they cannot. So those kids have to come up with $75 to $150 to be part of the track program. And we had a bad turnout last year. It was the worst turnout we've ever had. Why? Because of finance. So Councilman Bobby, a week before, literally. Yes, no, you're not going, yes, you're not going. I was involved in it, I wasn't directing it, but I was overseeing that. And it was the hardest thing for me to tell them, hey guys, you cannot go because there is no funding, it's all this. So Councilman's got a whip of it, and so now Councilman Bobby, to his credit, thought about this, said, you know what, well, let's put this money into those programs so that we won't have that problem again. So all these proceeds, 100% are gonna go to our summer programs to get kids that will be able to qualify, to be able to join summer league, summer cross running, so that they can be able to take them out and travel
From Martin, Nixon.
everywhere.
But would it be legal?
That will be legal.
That would be legal.
That will be legal.
So what would they, would it be free for everybody, or someone would have to apply for the scholarship, or?
It's pretty much free for everybody.
Okay.
From all over.
Everybody.
So, big welcome.
He said
Everybody, holding them in. So I'm excited about that, because all those proceeds are gonna help us with our summer youth programs in the summer. So I don't think we, have we specified that in our public relations and our, where we go?
Actually, I don't think so.
Actually, I think we need to specify that. Maybe we can put it up we put it up as a staff report in council for next meeting. And I'll go up there and take the flyer and say, look, this is what we're having doing, and make sure we put it out there that it is coming to our summer.
This is the last flyer, but she's got to approve it, and we're gonna put the sponsor down here. So this is like done half an hour before coming to the meeting.
Yeah, but maybe someone can put proceeds, will go to the.
Yeah, but we can add another cloud here and say,
Just, I wanna make sure that everybody, it just, where do we go to, you know? So, also sponsor is the new airlines coming in, Aero Ditran, they're gonna have their giveaways or free trips to Mexico and all that stuff.
What's it called? What's it called?
Oh, God, I wanna say Aero Ditran, but it's not that, it's, somebody help me.
I just saw a commercial.
Yeah, they start flying in May,
From here.
direct flights to Mexico City.
Mexico City,
Okay, May.
Cancun and all those things.
yeah.
From here.
Wait, they're gonna fly directly to Cancun?
Mexico City.
Well, Mexico
Oh,
City.
Mexico City.
Okay.
No, but they do connect to Cancun, so you from here to Mexico City, and then from there to Cancun. But some of the awards they're giving us for that is,
I didn't.
for the people that place, is trips for two to Cancun, wherever they want to go, Cozumel, wherever they want to go. So, excited about that, because that's gonna go into our summer youth program. I'm sorry, I don't think that's gonna.
Those are our new events, and then besides that, we have the Kite Festival coming up, which is in March at North Central Park, and the Fishing Derby, which would be in June. And then the father-daughter dance is gonna be also for Father's Day, that weekend of Father's Day. So, we got our schedule pretty much full.
If there's,
And these are Parks and Recreation events, these are not City Council's events. These are our own events that we wanna do as Parks and Recreation Department.
I think there's a huge variety here, which is great job. If there's any of these events that offer anything for special needs, if we could put an asterisk and put it in there, so a special need parent can say, oh,
Yeah, I can take my kid there.
I can take my kid there just to offer that in this, because you have.
And
for
yes, and we've had,
adults
like
and-
on our family day outs,
Yeah,
we've had special needs kids to ride the paddle boats, and they have come to our.
just so they know that.
But
they can
that's a
go
good
there.
observation that we can put there.
You would like family day, I don't remember, you remember family day?
No.
You will love it. There's a lot of paddle boats, there's archery, there's bike riding, there's
Arts and
arts and
crafts,
crafts.
music.
Mini golf.
So do people bring picnics? Or their food trucks or what
We
is
usually
it?
have, we either have vendors or we have free hot dogs is what we usually do. And then we can have free popcorn, there'll be food around. But people can bring their own, they just can't barbecue in some of these places.
And one of my biggest things that I've told our department is, we have all these events, and I hate, I've reported him to, when I go to the HEB, hey, I didn't know that, I didn't know that killed.
We go on TV, we go.
Yeah, so I wanna make
we put it
sure,
everywhere.
get on TV, get on the radio, get on Headbook, get on Snip Snap, or whatever all those things are called. And, as you can tell, I'm how
He doesn't use it.
I think that's something that we'll be able to add to the plan, is that maybe incorporate some money so we can have, again, like I mentioned a few meetings ago, where, you know, at that park, the person in charge of the Facebook account is able to send that location, you know, have those ads to that area. Yeah, let's say it's an event in Central Park, well, you throw in some money in there for ads, and everybody around Central Park is able to get those ads and just say, hey, you know, coming up tomorrow, don't forget, concert
We
at the
do,
park.
sometimes we do that, but we do it sponsored, and LNF is the one that sponsors us. As long as it's not sponsored by a councilman, if it's not politics is involved, we can do that. If there's politics involved, we can't do that.
Yeah, we'll restrict to the.
Right, but we have done it with the concerts in the park.
The parks does not get any marketing money at all.
It's already budgeted from your.
just do a general account.
Except from general account, so yeah.
I mean, this is why I'm so into how the website is gonna be searchable, because I have Netflix, I don't watch local TV, I have Sirius satellite, I don't listen to local radio. If it's on Facebook, I see it. If it's targeted to me, then I'll see it. But I know that's how the city, I don't get LMT. I don't get the local newspaper. And so.
You know that we have events?
I mean,
You don't like local news either?
I'm not alone. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not alone, and so, and I know.
Is that the fault of the city?
No, it's not, but I'm just saying, I really support a fabulous website, because that's kind of a central clearinghouse. Everyone can go to the website.
No, I
at
hear
any
you,
time.
and you have, and you're right.
Yeah, and that's the latest, really.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to-
And we wanted to make this website. This, I don't know if it's just not working there yet, but I'll look into it. But
Yeah.
you're right, I mean, people should be able to go in there, okay, trails and search and it comes up, so, yeah, I'll look into it. Because you're right.
No, not me. I do see this stuff on Facebook, but I know I'm not alone when it comes to the other sources. And I always hear the city say, well, we advertise it in here, 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 and here, and I'm like, I'm not alone, and I don't get those advertisements, but I see the Facebook stuff.
Yeah, we advertise on Facebook.
Any updates on Facebook?
Yes, we do our events on Facebook, and we have the events, go to the event page, event part, so he puts that, and he updates it. And that's when we push the updates and we push the events.
That's creative.
But that costs money, so we
Right.
co-sponsor it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, the website, it's just, you have to have a website anyway.
Yeah. And it's brand new, I mean, it's a work in progress too.
Yeah.
So we can change some of those things. Thank you for your input.
So, do you want to finish going over this? We didn't go over the Corn Festival.
Corn Festival is still out in the plans.
For the Corn Festival.
We're gonna do a meeting for that Corn Festival, where we're gonna have a committee, and we want input, and who can we bring into that? So it's just not our event, so we can have other
It's like
departments.
corn maze. Can you have a corn maze if you don't grow corn?
The Corn Festival, we want everything and everything about corn. So,
Different corn entries.
corn competition, things like that, yes.
Tamales, menudo.
I know, there's a lot of possibilities with corn. I was excited to hear more about the corn festival.
Yeah, so, yeah, if that's in progress, I'll be sure to invite you to that meeting.
Yeah, that
So,
looks exciting.
Yes, because we want ideas, we just don't want to do it ourselves and you could done this or you could done that. So we'll invite you to that. Any
Items,
questions?
No.
items for next meeting. Could we have Eddie give us a tour of the new website?
Sure.
Also, I'd like to see whether we could schedule the park tour already and.
Oh, yes, yes,
We
yes.
haven't done that part
On
yet.
board, maybe for March or April,
Okay,
checking on y'all's availability.
sure. Maybe the Saturday towards back end of spring break? Or the right end of spring break, or just skip spring break and wait till the morning?
I would say skip spring break,
Okay, so the weekend after spring break.
which is the 28th.
Around there?
That won't be.
No, wait. The 28th is
28, we have Selena.
Selena.
No, the 28th, we have the 5K and the concert.
Nothing is that.
Spring break the 16th through the 20th?
Yes.
The 16th through the 20th?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
That's
then-
spring break week.
What about April 4th?
It's not Easter.
No,
That's fine.
it's Palm
That's fine.
Sunday. Palm Sunday is the next day, Sunday, but
That's
nothing's
fine,
that
we can
Sunday.
tell you, put it for April the 4th. Yeah, Mayor's Cup is. We're gonna move the Mayor's Cup to 4th, yeah, that's
Or we
fine.
could do it sooner. We could do it March 7th, which is
You can.
2 weeks from now.
Let's do March 7th? Yeah, March 7th.
Hope it doesn't rain.
March 7th at 10 o'clock at Haynes.
March
You want to do the
7th.
trail?
Yeah, we'll start off with the trail at Haynes.
And
There's a family day out.
That day is that?
Ah, so good, that Haynes?
And
Yeah.
Bartlett.
Oh, there's
That's
also
a
already
family- That's a family day out in Bartlett.
11 to 2.
What about the Saturday before spring break? Is that?
That's Mayor's Cup.
Oh,
No, we don't have that. We're gonna move the Mayor's Cup.
You are? So there's nothing on the 4th? Is
No,
that
no.
bike ride? 14th,
Well,
March?
can we tie in the bike ride together with the,
Yeah.
what is the next bike ride?
The 14th?
Where at?
Independence Park,
Memorable? Let me see, wait.
March
Do you
14th.
have anything?
Or what if we do the 7th and we tie that to the family day out?
Oh, but that's a busy day for y'all, right?
It's a busy day.
Yeah.
Busy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Requires everybody to be there.
I just say April 4th sounds like
April?
a good.
I can't, April 4th, it's wrong. Won't be.
March
And the
20th,
11th of April?
That's the day before San Easter, no? No.
11th is the Easter weekend.
Yeah.
So, no.
We're off on the.
May 10th.
Just to throw this out there, I could do it during the week.
Spring break?
No, during the week. Like,
Anytime.
Oh, I know.
during the week.
Can any?
I can do it.
Anytime during the week?
If I would, what's the earliest?
Can you guys do it during the week?
Shall I be available during the week?
Back from here. San Antonio baseball classic.
Mr. Navarro, will y'all be available during the week?
Absolutely.
During the week?
Spring break week, I'm off.
No, like during
Not
the
spring
week.
break.
Not spring break.
Not a Saturday, but sometime during the week.
Like a Wednesday.
Well, and I'm working to do what I want, so I can't.
And we meet, in Haynes, not that, so we like, we were meeting like at 5:15, 5:30? At Haynes? Yeah, by then we didn't get there till about 7.
Oh,
After 4:30, yeah, after 4:30, I'm good.
How many?
After 4:30, make it home at 4:30.
Oh, over there.
I mean, I could do it in the evening. I can make
Evening
that
being
work.
5:15, 5:30.
Yeah,
Did
Wednesday.
you want it in the morning or?
Yeah, I was thinking in the morning, but I could do the evening on
Okay.
Wednesdays,
So let's pick a Wednesday at 5:30. That's first Wednesday in April.
which is the
April
first.
Fool's Day.
The first,
Tuesday.
I won't be here.
that's an Easter
Oh, what-
event.
Are you going for a vacation?
I'll be gone from the 25th to like the 6th.
Where are you going?
Where are you going?
Is this personal or is this a business?
March 11th. Let's do March 11th.
March 11th.
March 11th, 5:30 at Haynes.
5:30 p.m.?
March
Let
11th.
us know, we'll see y'all later.
5:30.
You're in a baseball.
That's a scheduled
Agenda.
meeting date.
Do it at 8?
Well, you guys can talk about it while you're driving on the gator.
Right, yeah.
No, but we can't have to be recorded and all that.
But I can go to bicycle usually.
What, you can meet
You're
it.
just gonna have to throw out a date and we're gonna have to accommodate.
A Tuesday, a Thursday.
Well, I mean, I think what would be nice is if we could just do it every first something of the month, and
Because you're not
then
gonna be
that
able
way
to
it's
see all the parts
regular.
in one day, I mean,
And
you
so-
can see one.
Oh, I thought that's what we were
Can we
doing.
all be at the
Yeah.
meeting anyway?
No, just
Are we
one-
allowed to
yeah,
be at the
like,
meeting?
we'll have our
Quorum?
meeting at Ames and we'll have a meeting at Dead End and we have a meeting.
Right.
Are we allowed to have quorum when we're doing this?
No.
We can post it just to be on the safe side.
Okay,
But
Guys, not to big cities, I got the problem.
okay.
Let's adjourn.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Second, sir.
All those in favor? Motion
Well,
passed. All
he
those
was
opposed?
first, he was first when he said, I gotta make a motion.
Okay, meeting's adjourned. Coach,
Yes.
could you look at Kenwood
Send me
Cove
the.
as a water park? It is a
We'll
municipal.
see you all later.
park.
See you all later.
Kansas.
Say it again.
Kenwood Cove.
Where's it? Pizza Hut on.
Go back, go back.
Good night, good night.
I know, man.
K-E-N-W-O-O.
Where's it located? At the Pizza Hut on. Where is it?
The same place, what are you talking about? At 13, 14.
Right behind you, right behind